Before I get into the review, I want to say that I'm not going to do some meta discussion about Chris Stuckman's YouTube career, or all the drama surrounding him. I've seen some YouTubers address that, and I'm just not interested in talking about it. I'm not going to pat him on the back for finally making a feature film, or take personal shots at him. And yes, I know he said that filmmakers work too hard for people to tear their movies down. I disagree with him. I know that's not how art works. If we stop being honest about when something's bad, we'll never get anything good. So that's why I just want to judge Shelby Oaks as a movie. Everything else is just noise. The story follows a woman named Mia looking for her missing sister Riley. She was part of a YouTube paranormal investigation group called the Paranormal Paranoids. Riley vanished years ago while investigating an abandoned prison in the ghost town of Shelby Oaks. Her team's footage hinted that something went horribly wrong. 12 years later, Mia picks up a tape labeled Shelby Oaks and retraces Riley's steps. We see a haunted prison, neglected amusement park, ghost town streets. On paper, it's a good setup for a mystery horror story, but the execution is pretty bad. The characters are thin, the dialogue is forgettable, and the exposition only exists to dump what Stuckman wants you to know. Mia herself doesn't have much of a personality. For someone who's supposed to carry the emotional weight of the movie, she feels blank. You never really get a sense of who she is outside of the sister looking for answers. There's even a moment where she's at home covered in blood after a man kills himself and blood splatters on her. And for some reason, she keeps it on her for hours, instead of just washing it off. It's really lazy direction. Stuckman couldn't think of any other way to show that she's emotionally wrecked, so he decides to leave it on her face. The first 20 minutes play out like a documentary where they give us the background surrounding Riley's disappearance. And then the next hour feels almost like a video game where Mia must find her sister. Complete one objective, cut to the next location. That's it. There's no build-up, no tension. If you watch any Hitchcock movie, you'll see how he builds suspense between events. Look at The Birds, where we actually get to know the people before all the action happens. They chit-chat, we learn their personalities, we see them walking around and doing their usual stuff. Stuckman skips that part. He just rushes to the next mission, with no emotional investment. The movie leans way too heavily on familiar horror tropes. Creepy houses, jump scares, all that. It's just too predictable. Mia goes to the spooky place at night instead of the daytime. The flashlight fails at the exact wrong moment. Normally small cliches are fine, but not when the rest of the movie is this bad. The CGI looks cheap, and the pacing is somehow slow and rushed at the same time. It's 80 minutes long, but it feels like almost nothing ever happens. Just exposition and characters talking about their next goal. It's not always bad to borrow from other films. Good directors do it all the time. The issue with Shelby Oaks is that it mixes together techniques that worked in other horror movies without understanding why they ever worked. The jump scares, camera angles, and pacing and everything else all feel like a checklist rather than deliberate choices to serve the story. That's why even scenes that could have been tense or moving don't work. And this isn't new for Stuckman. Years ago he made a short film called Julia that was basically a ripoff of Drive. Same tone, same music, same plot. He scrubbed it from the internet. Shelby Oaks shows that he hasn't really moved past that phase. It's still that same instinct to recreate what he's seen before instead of finding his own style. I could reference Rosemary's Baby, The Conjuring, Cloverfield, and others, but a simpler comparison is probably enough. One clear influence, The Blair Witch Project. That movie worked because it used its limitations to make horror feel very immediate and real. You actually felt lost with those characters. And the mockumentary style made sense, and they didn't just abandon it partway through the movie. Another influence, Hereditary, a movie I'm not even a fan of, but to give credit, the opening shows characters like dolls in a miniature house. That shot isn't there just to look cool. It connects to the story's theme of control and manipulation, because later it's revealed in the movie that there's a cult that's actually secretly watching over the family. And Shelby Oaks doesn't do anything like that. The visuals are basic and say nothing, and even the supposed twist feels like a lazy Hereditary knockoff, just thrown in there at the end hoping it'll land. Some time ago I discovered Stuckman wrote a film buff's bucket list. You think it would be for cinephiles who want to discover something new, but it's just a lineup of popular picks. The Force Awakens, Fury Road, The Avengers, Toy Story 3, Inception. That mindset says a lot about how he views films. To him, a film buff is someone who watches what's already been approved by the mainstream. So after viewing Shelby Oaks, I realize he approaches filmmaking from the perspective of someone who doesn't really understand cinema, just what's supposed to be recognized as good. He makes movies the same way he picks movies for that book, recognizable, safe, and by the numbers. That's why Shelby Oaks doesn't know what it wants to be. I think it's a reminder that watching a lot of movies and knowing their formulas doesn't necessarily mean you understand the medium.